Not the best fighting the best, but it's a fight. There's a demand for it from the public because of their history. So that's why it's selling so well and doing so much business. How do I see it playing out? I don't know if Conor can give away the weight. I don't know. I hope he can.
Frank Warren just dropped a brutal dose of reality, cutting through the hype like a blade through butter. He's not buying into the buzz. To him, this isn't boxing at its best. It's a circus, fueled by nostalgia and chaos more than actual sporting merit. Warren doesn't pull a single punch. He rips into the upcoming matchup, calling it a spectacle born out of public demand, not one grounded in genuine competition. And he doesn't stop there. He sets his sights on Conor Benn, questioning whether Benn even deserves to share a ring or a sentence. With Chris Eubank Jr., Warren's skepticism is sharp, especially when it comes to the weight situation. He flat out doubts Benn can handle the size difference, suggesting the young fighter is a hype job walking headfirst into a disaster. The core of Warren's message: Benn's never carried true weight in the sport. Now he's trying to carry too much, both physically and metaphorically. Warren sees it for what he believes it is. Not a fairy tale in the making, but a collapse waiting to happen. In his eyes, this won't end in triumph. It ends in humiliation.
I think it's a mismatch on paper, of course it is. It's a fella that won a British title at welterweight, who hasn't boxed for a long time, against a faded world-class middleweight, so I haven't really got any interest, to be honest.
Egg slap not get you excited for it?
Not really, no. I'm not really excited.
Meanwhile, Dave Allen isn't holding back. He rips the mask clean off his so-called fight and calls it what it is: a desperate mismatch that stinks of promotion over purpose. No sugarcoating, no dancing around the issue. Allen tears into the bout, labeling it a meaningless clash between a washed-up middleweight and a welterweight who never got past the British level. To Allen, it's not even worth pretending to care. There's zero excitement, zero credibility. He laughs off the hype, branding it a cheap gimmick drenched in nostalgia, designed not to build legacy, but to chase clicks and cash. He highlights the real problem. One fighter's been inactive for ages, the other's been exposed on the world stage. There's no real storyline, no authentic rivalry. Just smoke, mirrors, and marketing trying to mask the glaring talent gap. Allen's apathy says it all. This isn't a blockbuster showdown. It's a recycled headline dressed up as a grudge match. And in his eyes, it's an embarrassment to the sport. The real question is, are fans buying into the illusion, or are they starting to see through the noise? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
It's gonna be a very good fight. Conor has punching power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's a bigger guy. But Conor does have exceptional punching power, so it's gonna be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor is a great.
On the flip side, Roy Jones Jr. isn't playing it safe. He's calling this fight what it really is: a high-stakes chess match teetering on the edge of total chaos. While he gives Chris Eubank Jr. the advantage in size and skill, Roy doesn't downplay the one dangerous wild card in the mix: Conor Benn's raw, explosive power. Yes, Chris might be the more polished technician, but Roy makes it clear: if he slips up early, Benn's power could end the night in seconds. Jones warns that the opening rounds won't be a warm-up. They'll be a war zone, and one wrong move could flip the entire script. He shuts down the narrative that Eubank is untouchable, saying straight up that if Benn lands clean, everything changes in an instant. It's not just about who's better on paper, it's about who makes the first mistake. Still, Roy leans toward Eubank, but only if he fights smart from the opening bell. The margin for error: razor thin. Because if Chris gets careless, even for a second, Benn's power could detonate, and it could be lights out.
A bit reckless, he's throwing a lot of shots, he's moving. Sometimes I feel like Conor Benn can move unnecessarily too much early on, and that can burn energy. And finally compound that with packing on extra muscle. We might see a very fast start with Conor Benn, who slows. I'm not just talking about slows down, incrementally. I'm talking rapidly in this fight, if he's actually put on too much.
Conor Benn isn't just showing up. He's storming in like a wrecking ball, and the transformation is nothing short of terrifying. This isn't the lean welterweight fans remember. Benn looks like a man on a mission, stacked with size and muscle, built for destruction. He's sculpted himself into a machine, and the physical evolution is impossible to miss. His new frame doesn't say boxer, it screams brawler. He's not coming to outpoint anyone. He's coming to break them. But here's where it gets stark. That kind of size brings real danger. Benn looks like he's preparing to unleash absolute chaos from the opening bell. This isn't just a stronger Benn. It's a more explosive, more savage version than we've ever seen. And that's the real threat. This isn't a fighter stepping up in weight. It's a beast unleashed. The only question left is whether Eubank can weather the early storm, or if he gets flattened by this re-engineered monster before the fight even finds a rhythm.
Eubank will do it. I think this will be a good fight as long as it lasts, but I think Eubank will do it.
Is that because of the size and all the attributes Amir Khan mentioned?
I think with the experience and everything in it, to be honest, I think he's got the more experience as being professional, and since he's moved trainer, he seems to be a different fighter again.
On the other hand, Huey Fury comes in blazing, throwing his full support behind Chris Eubank Jr., and tearing into Conor Benn's chances with zero hesitation. To Fury, this fight isn't an opportunity for Benn. It's a ticking time bomb, and he's the one walking straight into the blast zone. Fury doesn't mince words. In his eyes, Benn isn't stepping up. He's stepping into a trap set by a seasoned warrior who's been through fire and lived to tell the tale. Benn's record. Fury calls it for what it is, padded and soft, filled with names that wouldn't survive a single round with Eubank. He goes even further, saying Eubank isn't just the better fighter. He's a whole different animal now. Since switching trainers, he's become a calculated assassin. Sharper, colder, and more dangerous than ever. But the twist? Fury doesn't just predict a loss for Benn. He's predicting a full-blown dismantling. An embarrassment. The cold truth, he says, is that Benn has never been tested in the fire, while Eubank was forged in it. And with the size difference only adding more pressure, Fury sees this ending in one way. The moment of truth is coming, and Benn's hype train looks set to derail violently.
I felt sorry for Junior because he is a 34-year-old man at the time. He wants his own thing. His father is always going to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
I think he's right to make his own decisions.
Simon, I see exactly what you're saying, because Nigel has stood back from Conor's career, and Chris Senior was right in the front at the beginning. And I think it's great that Junior is walking his own path.
So do I.
However, they have had horrendous...
No one saw this coming. Steve Collins just sent shockwaves through the boxing world, pulling back the curtain on the chaos simmering beneath Chris Eubank Jr.'s career. This isn't just a fight. It's a battle for identity, a war for personal freedom. Collins didn't hold back. He exposed the toxic dynamic at the core of Eubank Jr.'s journey, a suffocating father-son relationship that's overshadowed his every step. While Conor Benn has built his own path with Nigel Benn quietly standing in the background, Eubank Jr. has been forced to live under the relentless glare of a father who refuses to step out of the spotlight. Collins made it brutally clear. Eubank Jr. hasn't just been fighting opponents. He's been fighting to escape his own legacy, one that feels more like a cage than a crown. And the punches don't stop there. He hinted at the personal tragedies that have haunted the Eubank family, suggesting that the emotional weight Chris carries could be heavier than anyone truly understands. Now the burning question looms. Can Chris Eubank Jr. finally break the chains and define his own legacy? Or will he stay trapped beneath the shadow of a father who never let him breathe?
Business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much. But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on London High Street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity, and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice.
No.
It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily, and you just, it gets to it's an intense.
On the other side, Tony Bellew dives headfirst into the chaos swirling around Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. And he's not sugarcoating a thing. In his eyes, this isn't just a fight. It's a full-on grudge match soaked in pure, unfiltered hatred. Bellew insists this isn't about belts, legacy, or career milestones. It's about raw emotion, and the rage between these two has been bubbling under the surface for years. Now, the pot's boiling over, and it's ready to blow. He warns that the bad blood runs so deep, even the press conference could erupt into violence if it isn't tightly controlled. And Bellew knows what that kind of heat can do. Drawing from his own war-torn rivalries, he explains how emotional warfare can derail a fighter, twist their focus, tear apart their strategy, and leave them exposed in the ring. On the flip side, that same emotional fire can unlock something ferocious, or trigger a total collapse under the pressure. And that's the real question. Can either man keep a cool head when the spotlight hits, or will the moment swallow them whole? Because when that bell rings, Bellew says this won't look like a boxing match, it'll be a street fight in disguise.
Flaws that he already looks bad. It's going to be a hard night for him.
Carl Frampton isn't holding back. He's sounding the alarm, warning that Chris Eubank Jr. could be walking straight into a nightmare, and no one's really talking about it. The weight cut alone is brutal, but add a rehydration clause into the mix, and Frampton fears this fight could mark the beginning of the end for Eubank's career. He's openly skeptical that Eubank will even make it to the ring at full strength, and he's not making any bold predictions until he sees how Chris looks on the scales. Without these extreme weight conditions, Frampton says he'd back Eubank to dominate almost anyone. But the reality is, draining your body like this before a high-stakes clash is flirting with disaster. Eubank has always been a machine, relentless, explosive, resilient. But if his body gives out before the first bell, this won't just be a hard night. It could be a one-sided demolition. Frampton can already see the warning signs. If Eubank looks even slightly off at the weigh-in, this fight won't be just another chapter. It could be the final act in a career unraveling under the weight of dangerous demands.
Junior, I mean, he's stylish and he's skillful. And if that Liam Smith defeat, which worries me a bit for Chris, if that's sort of part of the past, that the rematch was emphatic for Eubank Jr., but it wasn't Liam's night really, and he had an injury going into it. So that defeat that Eubank suffered worries me a bit, but he's fought in better company, and Conor Benn's got it all to prove. But if there's one guy that wants it more, it's Conor Benn.
Adam Smith has ignited the boxing world with a brutally honest take on Chris Eubank Jr. and the rocky road ahead. There's no questioning Eubank's raw talent, the flair, the skill, the ability to dominate anyone on his night. But Smith didn't hold back when addressing the elephant in the room, that crushing loss to Liam Smith, a defeat that still lingers like a ghost over Eubank's career. While many viewed the rematch as Eubank's shot at redemption, Smith pointed out it wasn't exactly a fair playing field, with Liam Smith battling through injury. Even so, the damage was done. That first loss exposed cracks in Eubank's armor, flaws that are hard to ignore no matter how strong the comeback. And now, with Conor Benn in the opposite corner, Smith sees a different kind of threat. Benn isn't just fighting. He's out to prove he's the better man, the superior fighter. He's hungry, focused, and coming with something to prove. The real question now, can Eubank Jr. finally put the ghosts of his past behind him and reclaim control of his narrative? Or will Benn seize this moment and carve out a new era by toppling one of boxing's most polarizing names?
Like defeat there, maybe that's what Eubank Jr. is thinking, that Conor Benn is going to come out and leave everything in those first 3 or 4 rounds. And if Chris is still there, it could be trouble for Conor. But Conor could knock him out. Barry could be